is Focus with Jack Caudill.
Good evening, I'm Jack Caudill and welcome to this month's edition of Focus. This month we're talking about the arts here in the Black Hills. Three guests, three experts, and that to talk with us tonight. Travis Dewis is the Executive Director of the Rapid City Arts Council. Heath Johnson is the Executive Director of the Matthews Opera House up in Spearfish. And Marty Two Bulls is a Lakota artist, also one of the Artist Laureates of the Oglala Sioux Tribe. Again, October is National Arts and Humanities Month. The month was established back in 1993, and the National Endowment for the Arts described the month as the opportunity to celebrate the profound importance of arts and humanities in shaping our lives, communities, and our country. Travis, I'm going to start with you. When you look at the arts, why is the arts important? What is the importance of the arts in a community and in our lives?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question. There's so many different ways I could answer that question. I'd first like to say that it's easy for the three of us to talk about the arts for the month and talk about how it's so important, but the three of us are living and breathing it every single day. Right, so I'm thankful to be here, first of all. But the arts brings the community together, and it can also bring the community and start asking questions. I think it challenges some narratives that some people may have, and the arts can address some of those narratives and start people down a path of social change for the better. And it also can lead to deeper understanding of oneself through the creation of art. There's so many different ways I could take that, but the arts are so abundant, and the results of participating in the arts, not only creating but viewing the arts, the benefits are innumerable in my opinion. And I think it really comes down to each individual's perception of how they are engaging with the art.
And Heath Johnson is with the Matthews Opera House. As you look at it, what makes the art so important?
Yeah, I've always seen the art and creation as one of the most unifying things about us. I mean, everyone, whether they realize it or not, we're all creating something. And it's one of the things that is universal, no matter who you are or where you come from. It's very, very human. And part of the fun challenge, but fun that we get to do is providing a place for people to be human and unify and create, and then for the public to be able to experience that and enjoy it as well. I think without that in a community, I think you lose a bit of its soul.
Marty Two Bulls Jr. is again mentioning one of the Artist Laureates of the Oglala Sioux Tribe. As you look at it, what makes the art so important these days?
It's a critical part of our human experience. Expression, dialogue, community. It's an important part of our identities as people, as a place.
Now, when you're talking about arts and humanities, a pretty broad term. When you look at the arts, what do you see encapsulated in that term?
Yeah, well, I can take it from the perspective of the Rapid City Arts Council, right? Obviously a really broad term, but within the Rapid City Arts Council, we focus on three main areas, which are the visual arts. We have a very large exhibition space which supports local artists and within the visual arts. We also have performing arts. We have concerts and theater productions at the Rapid City Arts Council. But then also we can go into the arts education realm as well, where folks are not participating within the arts on like Marty's professional level, but talking about that self-exploration that I spoke about earlier.
Heath, how about you? When you think of the arts, what do you think of being under that umbrella?
Ooh, so much. Yeah, I mean, we do a lot of the similar things. We have visual and performing arts at the Matthews. Music, poetry, writing, performing. We brought in a comedian this past year. I mean, even the comedic arts are something that I see. I think that when you look at arts and humanities kind of in that whole thing, there's not much that can't in some way, shape, or form fall under that umbrella.
Marty, as you look at it from a Lakota perspective, how does arts fit into there, and what is encapsulated in Lakota arts?
A lot of things, a lot of the same things that these two have mentioned, but for my people, the idea of art aligns a little more with like creativity, and that's the way I like to talk about it, because that opens up the definition even a little further beyond like physical objects or some of the more traditional things we might consider art. So like dance, performance, storytelling, adornment, beadwork, things like that. So I like to think of it more as creativity.
Okay. You're mentioning Rapid City Arts Council. What's this Rapid City Arts Council do? What all is part of your guys' work?
Yeah, there is a lot of the work, and I haven't been in this position very long, so it's been a lot to learn, a lot of moving parts within the Rapid City Arts Council. But the Rapid City Arts Council is located within the Dahl Arts Center, which is owned by the City of Rapid City, but the Rapid City Arts Council manages the Dahl, and we are our standalone nonprofit. Essentially, we want to bring the Rapid City community together through art. We want to make art accessible to everybody in the community, and we want to use art for powerful social change as well. That's all within our mission statement. So we have a broad mission statement, a broad scope of work, but like I said, we've got gallery shows, we support local artists. We're really big into arts education, so there's an art class for everybody. We have a very large pottery studio, from drawing, teen art classes to even smaller than that. And then the performing arts as well. We have an event center that is equipped to host a lot of the performing arts as well. And so it's a very large scope of work, but I think that there's something for everyone. We do host things like poetry readings. Not all the people within the Rapid City or Black Hills community would enjoy that, but I'm certain that we have something for everybody.
Now, Heath and Matthew's Opera House, certainly the centerpiece of the art scene up there in Spearfish. What does that facility and how does that fit into what you guys are doing in Spearfish?
Yeah, absolutely. So the theater itself is just shy of 120 years being there in Spearfish, celebrating that next year, so pay attention to that. But really what we are is a resource place for people that want to create. Our motto is inspiring creativity and connecting community. It's not so much just a place where people can come and create things, which it is, but one of our goals also is to be the things that we create connect everyone around us, where we are seen as a place where artists and creatives can come, find resources, give us their ideas, and we can help them make that a reality. And then in turn, figure out ways on how that art then connects just the broader Spearfish community and the Black Hills area region. We do everything from your large performances as well. We have our theater season coming up. Opening night is October 24th. And then we also have, we've launched kind of our more ground level art workshops. Sounds very similar to what you're doing with your classes there, where we have people in the community that want to teach something, but maybe don't have the ability to do it or a place to do it. Well, we can offer that programming to them and help them find a place to teach people how to do things that people are interested in wanting to do. We have paint classes, dance classes so far. We're working on there's a self-care series on the art of self-care, which is an interesting one. But that's a big thing, is connecting our community with the creatives and then allowing them to have a platform to really share what they love with everyone else.
Now, Marty, you are one of the poet laureates of the Oglala Sioux Tribe. What kind of programs are there in the arts in the tribal community?
Artist Laureate. So,
what did I say?
Poet.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. So there's a lot going on. One of the things that happened recently with the Artist Laureate program is we unveiled the first winter count for the tribe, for the Oglala Sioux Tribe, over this last weekend at the Oglala Lakota Art Space in Caudill, South Dakota. That event was a really great day, and that space is a really unique space. There aren't many like it in Pine Ridge. It's managed by First Peoples Fund, which is a great nonprofit that supports Native artists across the country, and they're located here. Their main office is in Rapid City. But they have this auxiliary art space in Caudill, which has galleries, studio space, and a award-winning recording studio. And that's where we held our unveiling of our winter count.
All right, we got to take a break. We'll continue our look at the art scene here in the Black Hills when we continue with this month's edition of Focus. I'm Jack Caudill. Welcome back to this month's edition of Focus, talking about the arts here in the Black Hills. Marty Two Bulls Jr. is a Lakota artist. Marty, we hear a lot of talk all the time about all the work to preserve the Native culture. Mm-hmm. What part does the arts play in keeping that alive?
Well, it's a critical part of the whole system. Lakota culture oftentimes gets sort of separated, like in a Western paradigm. You know, they separate language and history and art. But the truth is, our culture, we see all those things as being connected. So you can't really talk about the language without talking about our history, our spiritual beliefs, our art. They're all very interconnected. So it's a critical part of that whole system, and you know, really they go hand in hand.
How much of that are you looking at old traditional art and then again putting a modern touch to it? How do you combine those two, and can you combine those two?
That's the struggle, and that's what I'm trying to do. With this winter count project, I spent a lot of time looking at historical winter counts. I even made a pilgrimage out to the Smithsonian Museum, the Museum of the Native American in DC, to look at some of their historic winter counts, and read books and talked to elders and culture bearers to try to get an idea of how best to carry that tradition forward without just recreating a historic document. That was a critical part of the whole process for me, was to add something new and make something that both built and acknowledged that tradition, but also added something new and contemporary to that dialogue.
How much do you study the artists from back in the day?
All the time. I mean, and my art isn't exclusive to Lakota art. I study the Renaissance artists, and the traditional Lakota artists, and it's a big part of research when I take on a project, is looking at the old masters and you finding inspiration there.
Heath Johnson is the executive director of the Matthews Opera House. You guys running a larger organization. Funding, always a challenge when you're talking about the arts, especially these days. How big of a challenge is that, and is that challenge becoming more difficult as time goes on?
Yeah, I think anytime you're dealing with arts nonprofits, funding is always going to be a challenge. You're looking for people that are, one, interested in supporting it and sustaining it for the area and the culture around you. My experience is no different. I've been there just about a year, and we have a lot of people that support us. But finding the funds to maintain the programming that we have been maintaining and want to start and grow, I think is always difficult. Right now, it's a weird time. I've kind of taken this approach that, what does the community around us want to support? And then what they're looking to support is kind of where we're trying to put our focus in, and into building that and growing that up, which is one of the reasons we started those workshop things, because those are things that we have direct access to be able to do with community support with that. Finding ways with business support and potential donors and foundations, and that's a maze, but it's a fun challenge to navigate, I should say, and I'm learning all the bumps along the way.
Now, Travis Dewis is the executive director of the Rapid City Arts Council. You're fairly new on the job down there. How do you approach funding, and how big of a challenge is that to get all the stuff that you want to get done paid for?
Yeah, absolutely. And Heath is, totally right that working within an arts nonprofit, funding is always going to be top of mind. And obviously, your viewers are very well informed, and there has been a lot of changes at the federal level within the past year. Luckily, at the Rapid City Arts Council, not a lot of that change has directly impacted us, just because of where we were at that point in time. At different points within the Rapid City Arts Council's history, those changes at the federal level would have really directly impacted us. But luckily, coming into this job and being quite new at it, it does challenge not only arts nonprofits, but so many other nonprofits across the country to really rethink their funding models, because a lot of this funding for the work that we do comes from the national level. So now, we have to look more at the private foundations, which there are not a lot, but they are out there. Private foundations and then individual donors within the communities that we serve. Which those two other categories, the private foundations and the individual donors, they've always been on our mind, but historically for an organization like the Rapid City Arts Council, a bulk of that money is not coming from those sources. So really redefining how we approach these questions is going to be top of mind going forward, and then keeping our ear to the ground for anything that may be happening in the future at the federal level is going to be so important.
Now, Marty, you are in a little different thing. You are a professional artist. What's the financial climate, the economic climate in the art world these days?
That's a good question. I mean, it's always shifting and changing, but there's certainly been a lot of, cuts and reprioritizing of federal funds and grants and things like that. I mean, it's always a hard game out there for artists and art nonprofits, but especially, these days. But that's part of the challenge, and money is not why I make art.
What do you love about doing this for a living?
Well, Jack, it's all I can do. I'd be making art if there was no money involved. I'd be making art if there was no prestige involved. I've always been drawn towards those forms of expression, and it's rewarding in the way of being able to share ideas, but also the service work that I do. It's rewarding, helping folks learn new art processes, or achieve public works goals, or find opportunities for arts education in our schools. I get a lot out of that.
All right, we got to take another break. We'll continue our look at arts here in the Black Hills when we continue with this month's edition of Focus. I'm Jack Caudill. Welcome back to this month's edition of Focus. We're talking about the arts here in the Black Hills. Heath Johnson is the executive director of the Matthews Opera House up in Spearfishing. We talked about kids programs and all that kind of stuff. How important is it to get kids involved in the arts when they're young?
Very. I have 5 kids myself. All of them have been involved in arts in some way, shape, or form. Our children's theater that we do in the summer is probably one of the most fun experiences that I've had this past year, being the executive director there. Seeing the kids come in, not knowing anything about theater, some of them, and then performing at the end of the week was pretty awesome. I think what it does too is it gives them a bit of an outlet for some of the stuff going on in their head and things that they want to do. They learn things by doing, and when you're giving them a space to create and do, you're teaching them more than just how to paint or how to draw or how to perform. You're teaching them some life skills that can permeate through everything that they do.
Travis Dewis is the executive director of the Rapid City Arts Council. How do you see kids in art? Why is it important to get them going?
Yeah, I'm no scientist by any means, but there are a plethora of scientific studies about why the arts are important for growing children. Developmentally, engaging in the arts at a young age is very, very valuable. With forming those critical thinking skills primarily. But I can't really dive into all that. Like I said, I'm not a scientist, but we know that it's proven to be very impactful for their growing lives. Engaging children in art is really setting them up for a successful future when they're adults.
Marty Two Bulls Jr. is one of the Artist Laureates of the Oglala Sioux Tribe. You talked earlier about some of your artists and schools programs. Why is that important, and what do the kids get out of that?
Well, it teaches creative thinking, and it's a critical part of any discipline, being able to solve problems in unique ways. It's also an important part of self-expression. I think most kids, whether it's through drawing or dance or music, like they all need some form of self-expression. And for a lot of the students that I've worked with over the years, especially Lakota students, art is a big part of their cultural identity. So it helps give them, a feeling of connection to a larger community and to history. That is very important for their early childhood development.
Now you have a show you are curating coming up at the Journey Museum. What can you tell me about that?
Sure, yeah. I've curated an exhibition called Lakota Contemporary, and it will be opening at the Journey Museum Thursday, October 9th at 5 p.m. There'll be a public reception. It's free and open to everybody. I very strategically planned this exhibition to start just before the Black Hills Powwow, when there's a large, celebration of Native culture happening in our city. So the idea was to also present a visual art celebration. So this exhibition is intergenerational. We have elder artists such as Martin Redbear, established artists such as Keith Braveheart, and artists all the way down to the high school level who will be exhibiting work there.
Now Marty is a professional artist. What place is there for just the casual artist? Maybe not very polished, maybe not very good, but just loves doing it. How do they fit into all of this?
Yeah, that's a great question. We actually just started our latest exhibit. It's the 47th Annual Community Art Show that we do at our gallery, and it is from fridge to fine art. Anyone that wants to create something can get their stuff up on our wall for the 6 to 8 week run of the exhibit. We've got 3-year-olds all the way up to professional artists up there on the wall. One of our big, being the place that we are and open to the community, is allowing a space for anyone who wants to try and test the waters a bit, to give them a space to do that and see where it leads to. And no matter what the age, no matter what the skill level, giving people an opportunity to grow and build those skills, I think is powerful.
Travis, how do you look at that? Somebody that's never done this before, but hey, I want to give it a shot. Is that important?
Yes, it absolutely is. Get out there and find yourself, and learn what makes you tick creatively is so important for people. And it's just a fun process to do it as well. And us at the Doll, we have classes that start for all ages, and we have open studios as well, so it doesn't even need to be in a structured format. If somebody just wants to come in and try drawing or try pottery as well, it doesn't have to be in the class format, but we do have classes with professional teachers to guide them along the way.
Do you get people surprised at what they come up with when they actually get in there and just start winging it a little bit?
Yeah, I think, of course we do. And we have a teapot competition growing up out of our pottery studio. And the definition of the teapot can get pretty far out there. So I'm really excited to see what these individuals come up with.
All right, we are just about out of time. Anything you want to see happen in the art world? What do you see happening down the road?
Oh, I want to see more collaboration. I think when we as artists and art administrators and organizations work together and share our space and our resources, it's better for the whole community. And there's a lot of that happening now, like with this exhibition at the Journey. That happens a lot at the Doll, and that happens a lot at Matthews, and I just want to continue to see that grow and prosper.
All right, we are absolutely out of time. Travis Dewis, Heath Johnson, Marty Two Bulls Jr., thank you for coming up. Thank you for joining us for this month's edition of Focus. Hope to see you again the first Sunday night of next month. Good night.